Here are the supplies you'll need for the mask. First of all, you're going to need some cardboard. I'm using paper because I'm making a miniature mask and it's really no need to use cardboard for a miniature mask. Some scissors, a pencil, a bowl because I would suggest a bowl. You can use a cup. I'm using a cup, but that's because, again, I'm making a miniature mask, but the bowl is going to be the size of your mask, so I would suggest making that a pretty big bowl. 4 toothpicks because you might break 1 or 2. Paint, hot glue gun, and a pen or a marker. So first off, you're going to trace whatever bowl or cup you have, but I do suggest that you use a bowl because this is going to be the size of your mask. So I'm making a tiny one, so this cup, this is going to be the size of my mini mask. So you're going to do this 2 more times after you're done tracing the first one, so that in the end you'll have 3 circles. When you're done making your 3 circles, you're now going to cut them out. The rest of these videos were taken on my phone, so that is why the frame's going to change. You should now have 3 cutout circles, and now we're going to do the triangles. For the triangles, I would suggest using the scraps. If you use the part where you cut the circle, it'll fit your circle better, if that makes sense. You'll see what I did. It'll make sense. You're going to have to mess with the size of your triangles a lot. The first time I did it, I had to do like 3 triangles before I eventually got the right size, but you should make it so that you can fit about 7 triangles on the head. And it's super easy to make the other triangles after you've already made one, because you can just use that one triangle you made as a template. That's just what I do. That way they're about the same size. Something else I suggest is that you keep a good watch on your triangles, because it is really easy to lose one. It may not seem that easy, but I actually lost one both times I made this mask. This time too. Anyways, now you should have 3 circles and 7 triangles. There should be 3 big circles and 7 triangles. So I'm going to explain what these parts are for. The mask is actually made of 3 parts, or layers, whichever you want to call them. The first or top layer has the moon side of the face, and the second layer has the sun side. The third layer is what makes the mask actually spin. So one of those circles are going to be the moon side of the face. So all you have to do is draw the moon design on it, or whatever design you want on the mask. And I would suggest drawing the place where the cheeks are going to go, not necessarily the cheeks, just the place that they're going to sit on the face. And also drawing some little craters. That's just what I did. You really don't have to, but I just thought it made it look better. Next, all you really have to do is cut it out. You really don't need the sun side, so you can throw that away or whatever. Or you can keep it and use it as a reference for where the eyes and whatever you drew on there is going to lay on the face. Yeah. You can grab one of those other circles that were cut, and you can put that underneath the moon side, and really you don't have to do much to that except for, paint it when you paint the rest of the stuff or color it. So I forgot to say to do this, but basically you just need to cut out 2 small circles. You're probably going to want to do them better than I drew mine, but it's fine. And yeah, those are going to be the cheeks. You can just keep them to the side until you're ready to glue them on. At this point, we have all of the stuff we need for the mask, but we just need to color everything. I would suggest, if you're making an actual mask, the regular size, that you paint it, because that's going to be a lot easier than coloring it. I'm just coloring mine because it is a miniature version, and it would be kind of unnecessary to paint it for a tiny version. Because there's already design on the cardboard or the paper, whatever material you're using to make the mask, I would go over that instead of pen. What I did is I went over it with pen. I put a sheer layer of paint on, went over it with pen, put another layer on, I could barely see the pen marks anymore. I would trace it again in pen lightly, and then I would put another layer on, and by the time I was done painting it, I would still be able to see a bit of that pen. That way I could see the design still, and I could go over it with Sharpie. So now that I'm done, painting or coloring the mask, I'm just going to go over it and touch up the design a bit on the mask. All I did is do it in pencil, but I would suggest if you're doing it on a mask, either like go over it with a marker or Sharpie or something like that. That way you'll be able to see it better. And now it's finally time to get out that hot glue gun or glue of any kind. You need glue. We're going to start gluing some stuff together. Now you need to get that last circle, and you need to put a small hole right in the center of it, just big enough to put the toothpick partially through. And don't just try to use the toothpick to stab your way through the center of the cardboard, because I tried that and it broke in half. It didn't happen here because I'm using paper, but yeah. Yeah, so I really wanted a better, bigger toothpick when I was making this. I'm surprised that a toothpick works, but a toothpick works. I would, again, suggest that you have multiple toothpicks, because it is very likely that you're probably going to break one. Now you just need to take a small piece of scrap, some cardboard, something like that. Just cut a small piece off, and you just put a hole in the middle of it, like you did with a circle, and all you have to do is stick that on to the toothpick once it's inside of the circle. This little scrap piece is basically just there to keep the toothpick from coming out of the circle, because if you don't have it there, it's just going to come out when you try to spin the mask. It's not going to work. This is basically the entire reason for the third layer. And once you have the little scrap piece on, all you have to do is hot glue it or glue it to the toothpick without gluing it to the actual cardboard circle, because that way the cardboard circle can move independently. Also, to make it a little easier here, I drew inside on the inside of the circle. This is going to be the part that's facing the the inside, because you're going to want to have less toothpick on that side. And now you can watch me struggle to try to put on this little scrap piece with one hand. Also, you're going to see all this stuff fall off the toothpick because of the fact that I was lazy, and I thought that maybe I could probably get away with not grabbing the hot glue gun because it was all the way downstairs and I didn't want to grab it. But that didn't work. Anyways, I ended up grabbing the hot glue gun after that. Anyways, after you're done with that, you just have to do the same thing on the other side of the circle. Just get some scrap, put a hole in the center of that, and put that on the other side of the toothpick. This way it'll keep it from sliding back, and everything will be kept centered and everything like that. Once you're done with this, we're pretty much ready to put everything together. So you're going to take some of that small scrap, and basically what we're going to use this for is we're going to use it to kind of prop up the moon side of the face. So we're going to glue on some little scrap pieces onto the sun side of the face that's covered by the moon side, or it's going to be covered. And then you just put some hot glue on the little scraps, and you can put the moon on those. That way it will pop up more. I'm not actually gluing anything right now, I'm just kind of laying everything out, but we're going to do the same thing with the cheeks, which is why I'm putting some scraps underneath the places where the cheeks are going to be. And then, again, I'm just laying everything out, but once we're all done gluing all that stuff on, we can just go ahead and put in the little triangles, and this is just going to kind of slip in between those two layers, and you'll see what I'm talking about when it happens. But oh yeah, you want to know why I said to keep a track of your triangles? This is why. This is the time where I realized that one of my triangles was missing. Again. Anyways, enjoy me frantically searching for my triangle, and newsflash, oh my god. It's on the ground. I just found it. Okay. I swear I didn't plan that. I was just like trying to edit and record my voice and I just found it. But anyways, I had to cut a new triangle, so I cut a new triangle and now we're gonna start gluing things together. So I finally got the hot glue gun, I warmed it up and everything, and I actually like glued the stuff onto the circle and stuff, the toothpick. But you can put all that stuff aside. All we need right now is we're going to take some scraps and we're actually going to glue the scraps to the sun layer. After that, like I said before, all you have to do is just put some glue, put a little dot of glue on all of those little scraps that you glued on, and yeah, you can just kind of set the moon side on. Make sure that you're paying attention and it's not crooked or something, because that can easily happen. Next, we're just going to glue on the cheeks in the same way. Now that we've glued together the first two layers, all we have to do is put the last layer on. We're just going to put it on the same way we put the moon onto the sun layer. Just remember that if the toothpick is pointing too far into the inside, it can be trimmed. So if you're having a hard time gluing it or something because of the toothpick, you can just trim that a bit. Also remember that the toothpick does still have to be able to spin, so you shouldn't be gluing that to the circles. That should only be glued to the two scraps we put on it. Once that's all done, all you have to do is put on the triangles, and we're just going to put hot glue on that and then put that in between the layers. Once all that's been put on, you basically have the front part of your mask. All we have to do now is put a headset onto it. I'm sorry if any of this has been confusing. My footage has gone out of order, so it's really confusing for me even when I'm recording and editing, but I'm trying to make this as clear as possible. Anyways, now we're just going to get some of those scraps that are supposed to be saved behind, and you just cut out a small strip. Well, not super small, actually fairly big. So you cut out a strip, and this is going to be the base headband of your headset. This should be able to fit around your head. Once you have that all cut out, you're just going to put a small hole into the middle of the headband, or around the middle, and you're going to stick it on the toothpick. It should look something like this. And then we're just going to get another tiny scrap piece, and we're going to put a little hole in the center of it, and we're going to stick it on there. And remember, glue it to the toothpick, not any of the other stuff. I would also suggest making it fairly tight because you don't want the mask to wobble when you spin it, or like lean forward or something like that. Again, it should look something like this, and at this point you're pretty much ready to fold that around and glue it. You might be wondering why there's a giant toothpick, stabbing out into the headset. So basically you're going to cut that, but do not cut it too short down. Just cut it fairly short, but not too short. And now we're just going to put on this headpiece so that it keeps it from falling too far down on your face. It's pretty self-explanatory, it just basically looks like a VR headset. And there you go, that is basically the entirety of the mask. Here are my two masks, and you're going to notice some differences. First of all, my big mask has some weights on the bottom. That way it'll weight the bottom down, so when I spin the mask, the bottom will end up being on the bottom. That way it's not, I don't spin it and then all of a sudden it's upside down all the time. And then this one doesn't have it because I didn't put that on there. It's a mini mask. I didn't want to go through all that effort. And then the second thing is that in order to use the mask, I always have to put this little towel, and I'll put it right over the toothpick. The toothpick helps hold it up. So I'll put it right over the toothpick, and then I'll put this right on my eyes. That's the right placement that I found. And then I can spin the mask and do whatever. That's basically how I build my mask.